I am so nervous right now. Here's the deal. Sonic Frontiers is a minefield of a game to talk about. It's a reviewer's paradox. It's a black hole of game discourse. It's the future of Sonic, and I can tell you for a fact that when the impressionable kids playing this game now grow into video essayist age in a decade and a half, they're going to produce some seriously great uploads about this game. What am I talking about? I'm talking about how you can pick this game apart for days if you want to, but could conversely praise it for just as long. Sure, it's getting the same tepid critic reviews the 3D Sonics usually get, but it's getting them for much different reasons. It's not a safe middling 7, it's an ambitious flawed 7. It's got some of the highest highs and lowest lows of any game I've ever played, and it's probably one of the most compelling times I've had with a borderline dysfunctional product since The Witcher 1. Whether or not I can recommend this game to you is going to depend both on your love for Sonic and your tolerance for pain, because despite the jank, this game will find its audience, and there are things to love. Alright, I have my 3D Sonic review pitfall checklist. Don't mention werehogs, don't bring up interspecies kissing, and absolutely no discussion about a rough transition to 3D. The next 10 minutes are razor focused on sharing what I think about Sonic Frontiers, and how this future of Sonic might be one worth getting excited about, even if it's constantly stumbling on its own 2 feet. Let's run with it. I have a lot of shockingly great things to say about Sonic Frontiers, but we're not starting there. We have to front load the bad, because as much as I think there are some revolutionarily cool ideas here, I can't risk anyone clicking off this video halfway through without being instilled with my most important and distinguished observation. This game's a mess. Like a real mess, for reasons subjective and otherwise. You probably already knew that if you've seen any of its pre-release coverage, and definitely if you've seen its post-release coverage. Look at this pop-in. Things will appear like 20 feet in front of your face. It's an issue that gets compounded by the fact that Sonic goes really fast. And it's even worse because seeing these things is often important for gameplay reasons. The very structure of this game asks you to seek out what lies on the horizon, and find out how you're going to navigate your way there. And at the same time, there are going to be assets and obstacles between you and that horizon that you have no way of knowing about. This usually manifests in not seeing an important rail that could help you get to your destination, and other times it's just a collectible not being visible, which is pretty crucial because then you don't know to go there and collect it. It's pretty indefensible how bad it is. It's a consistent problem in each of the game's 4 levels. And it sucks that so frequently it teeters beyond minor visual distraction into core gameplay disruption. Speaking of gameplay disruption, Sonic Frontiers has a pretty weird relationship with new ideas. It's got this kitchen sink approach to incentivizing you to complete its checklists and explore its content. It has so many different gameplay ideas. The points of interest on your map are usually these little micro challenges that more often than not just involve running in place for like 4 seconds, or standing in a blue circle, or doing the same deduction puzzle for like the 50th time. They're seldom offensively bad, with the exception of this Sonic Spinball homage with the worst pinball physics I've ever experienced, or this crane game that couldn't have picked a worse camera angle to gauge depth perception. But they're just so consistently vapid and pointless. They seriously make the tower climbing on the other side of an Ubisoft map marker look like genius design by comparison. Why do the villains look like they belong in Metal Gear Rising? And did Sonic really need a parry button? I could do this all day, but all of that pales in comparison to Frontier's biggest issue, its complete lack of style. There are 4 small-scale open worlds, and I don't think there is a single notable location in any of them. If you've watched a single trailer for Sonic Frontiers, you've probably seen every texture in the game, and none of them are all that interesting. The world is bleak and muddy, lifeless and colorless. It feels like there's a brightness setting wrong on my monitor while I'm playing. Some will excuse this as being lore appropriate. After all, the setting is sort of the ruins of a previous civilization, but it's just so soulless. There are other examples of media within this very franchise that have managed to pull off dark atmospheres, and yet still do so with the zest and energy that this protagonist deserves. And I feel like a cohesive aesthetic really could have pulled this game together. It becomes super transparent when you enter one of the Sonic Frontiers Cyberspace missions. These are portals that open up to other dimensions that give you a chance to play level designs and aesthetics from previous Sonic games. They're the closest thing in the game to a traditional get-to-the-end Sonic level design, and they're also a playable reminder of how much more these previous Sonic games prioritized art style. For as overused as Green Hills is, you can tell it's Green Hills. It has a vibe and a look and a style in a way that literally nothing in Sonic Frontiers does. Hell, if a Sonic game 10 years from now wanted to make a cyberspace mission about Sonic Frontiers, I don't even think it could, because there is nothing about the world design here that distinguishes it as a Sonic level. Drop Sonic into the frame and it could just as easily be a Serious Sam level or a screenshot from Transport Fever. For a game that borrows so much of the visual history of its forebears, it's also not creating any new visual history of its own. Those hypothetical Sonic games 10 years from now definitely aren't going to be able to borrow any visual elements from Sonic Frontiers, but they can certainly borrow the gameplay ones. You ever wonder why there's this weird tonal clash where, across multiple mediums, our colorful, cartoony platform mascot finds himself in these oppressive worlds controlled by dystopian regimes? It's because Sonic is a rebel. He's counterculture. He's the edgy alternative. Sonic is about nonconformity and being yourself, and Sonic is about freedom. Sonic Frontiers is about freedom too, and you can feel that the second you move the control stick. Moving Sonic around in a 3D space, a true 3D space where you can go in any direction, is liberating. Sure, you've played a million of these do the checklist open world games before, you've definitely played a bunch with a higher technical aptitude, but you haven't played one as Sonic. And let me tell you, that is a needle mover for me. More than any other Sonic game I've played, this makes me feel like I'm playing the intro to Sonic CD. These worlds and this format let Sonic stretch his legs. There are 4 separate zones in Sonic Frontiers. Within each one, you need to collect a bunch of keys, collect 7 Chaos Emeralds, and collect a bunch of zone-specific tokens. There are a variety of ways in which these things are rewarded, but you can more or less do the things in any order you want. A lot of them come from the rails and boost pads you've seen strewn across the world. Imagine that you took your average Sonic level, sliced it up into 8 to 10 second portions, then distributed it across an open world. That's kind of what's going on here. Sometimes you'll boost into what's very clearly a little platforming event that you can do to be rewarded with one of the collectibles you need. Sometimes the camera will lock you into an event you don't want, but for the most part it kind of works. There's a flow state that can easily take over when you're doing these back to back, as they're laid out in a way that doesn't demand you do them in one particular sequence, but will usually guide you from one micro Sonic level to another until you've explored a good chunk of the zone. It's a really interesting format, aided in no small part by how good Sonic feels to control. You can boost with the right trigger and get an enhanced boost at max rings. The homing attack is here to let you drill into enemies and onto boost pads, and there's also a drop dash that lets you boost right as you land. There's a notable lack of momentum. Sonic can kind of move on a dime in any direction he wants and accelerates and decelerates seemingly instantly. I think it works for what they were going for, but it's worth calling out for anyone who might have been expecting a more locomotion intense or skill-based movement system. But skill does come to movement in a way that I wasn't expecting. Combat integration. Okay, so the combat in Sonic Frontiers is really weird because it varies so much depending on your options. You either play on smash the attack button mode or smash multiple attack button modes. Neither are spectacular, and neither are the glue that holds this model together. The most important new ability is Cyloop. At the click of a button, Sonic will leave an energy trail behind him. Close that loop and he will damage everyone inside and spawn a flurry of rings. This is a great crowd control tool to take out multiple little guys or help take down the shields of a singular unit. There's also a small risk-reward element too, because too wide a loop will give you more area but also give you less time to close it. Too small a loop and you run the risk of running right into your opponent. I had a blast with this ability. It gives you a lot of options, it cleverly makes use of Sonic's speed and boost, and it feels really good to use. In many ways, it could be the future of Sonic combat. It effectively turns every encounter into a microscopic version of the Hoth level in Shadows of the Empire, where you gotta encircle that AT-AT with a cable. Like many aspects of Frontiers, it reeks of unrealized potential. It never goes beyond its surface level use cases, and I really hope that one day it does. Okay, so remember how I said Sonic Frontiers is a kitchen sink, throw everything at the wall kind of game? Yes, that means there's a ton of terrible stuff here, but there's also a ton of really cool stuff for that same reason. I would count Cyloop as one of the big wins, but another one of them is the mini-bosses, at least most of the time. Roaming around the open zones are a ton of different optional mini-bosses that, you guessed it, can be defeated for collectibles. The best of them have this philosophy of fighting through movement. For example, there's this flying manta ray robot that leaves a trail behind him that Sonic can run on and dodge projectiles until he gets to the main body. Another is this rail creature where the rails effectively are a health bar, and making a perfect rotation around them will open up a weak spot. A bunch of them also integrate the Cyloop, requiring good timing as you loop around a moving target to get the shields down. The big bosses are a little different. They all more or less play out the same way. You go supersonic, fly around an arena, spam attacks on the boss, and parry when necessary. They dress him up in a few different ways, and very importantly, there's always hyped music playing in the background like you would expect. One of the final, surprisingly well-executed elements of Sonic Frontiers is, if not its story in general, then the characterization of Sonic and his friends. The main friends here are Amy, Tails, and Knuckles, and they get a lot of screen time. That's because the structure of the game effectively marries each of them to his own. They're more or less the collectible drop-off point to unlock more story bits. Each time you get a bundle of zone-specific tokens, you can go to the friend of that zone, transform over, and you get a cutscene where they interact with Sonic. Each character does get a little arc here. They have motivations independent of helping Sonic stop the bad guy, to the point where I'm kind of excited to see what these characters behave like in a future game. And to be honest with you, excitement for a future game is really responsible for a lot of my optimism here. Look, when it comes to the question of do I recommend Sonic Frontiers, I think that's a pretty easy question to answer. If you're a huge Sonic fan, absolutely. You're going to want to feel this new Sonic template and run around in 3D. You'll want to experience some of the new ideas, and you'll definitely want to see how it handles Sonic and the gang. Also, bonus points for some of the Cyberspace levels if you're a longtime Sonic fan. Seriously, pay attention to them for more than just their window dressing. If you're not a huge Sonic fan, absolutely not. This is the Breath of the Wildiest game I've ever played since Breath of the Wild, with almost none of the polish or consistency. It's a low-quality version of last gen's open world template, just with Sonic in it. And if you have no attachment to Sonic, there's not enough here to make it worthwhile. Sonic Frontiers is the future of Sonic, but it's importantly a prototype of that future. There's so many amazing things that it does that need to contend with equally unamazing things. One moment you'll be experiencing this revolutionary new Sonic idea that cleverly integrates Sonic's movement into a side activity, and the next you'll be doing the most mind-numbing and tedious minigame you've ever done in your life. It's a more interesting game than a great one, and yet, at the same time, it has me more excited for what comes next than ever before. Sonic Frontiers is not a great game, but it is a great template. And while I don't think I can give this one my blanket approval, I have this tepid optimism that I will for Sonic Frontiers 2.